Hello and thank you for joining me in this exclusive interview. I'm your host Nadine Tonguem and you're watching Empower Success in Africa. Entrepreneurship in Africa isn't a new thing. With so many years gone by, the culture hasn't really evolved in Cameroon. Despite institutional measures put in place to facilitate the creation of company, the informal sector still lacks the fundamental skills needed in taking their businesses from one man's business to an enterprise that can eventually create jobs. Access to capital still remains the biggest challenge and a barrier to entry. The entrepreneurial culture among the young generation is still marginal or on the low. With this social and economic dilemma in Cameroon, a young lady has made it her mission to do her part in reducing the barrier to entry. She is the CEO of CIPEC. She recently launched her company magazine in February 2015. She's also the brand ambassador for an online store called the Tonguem. Please join me in welcoming the beautiful and talented Etonde Martine. Thank you so much, Etonde, for accepting my invitation despite your hectic schedule. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, Etonde. So we're just going to get into, you and CIPEC. I mean, prior to CIPEC and other entrepreneurial endeavor, who was Etonde Martine?
Before CIPEC, I was a salesperson. I worked for a company called Catalyst Business Solutions as account manager. And then after that, I moved over to Damco, where I was external sales coordinator in charge of getting clients from Cameroon and Central Africa. Before that, I was a business student. I studied in Nairobi, Kenya, and I did international business administration and marketing. I think that's where I got all of my extrovert characteristics and, even had the idea of starting something like CIPEC. So before that, in one word, I would say I was a salesperson.
I mean, entrepreneurship isn't a new thing in Africa, but having said that, time has passed and entrepreneurship has failed to evolve over the years.
Yes.
And I mean, tell us a little bit about your experience in that field.
My experience in entrepreneurship, one, I was lucky. The school I went to, most of my business classes were geared towards making you be an entrepreneur. So although when I was in university, I just wanted to be in the corporate world, climb the corporate ladder, become a CEO one day. I never thought I was going to own my own company. I just thought I was going to rise up until I become manager for somebody else's company. So the journey for entrepreneurship started really after I worked in Cameroon for some time, and I admired and appreciated the system. I appreciated the system, the way people worked, and how I wanted to emulate other people. There are other people that I wanted to emulate. I wanted to make a difference. I think one of the reasons why I do most of the things I do is because I don't like to follow the norms. I want to always make a difference, make an impact. And for me, making an impact meant that I had to draw my own path, start my own company, or do something that gave me the power to make the changes that I wanted to see happen. For entrepreneurship in Cameroon, yes, it has been made very easy to set up companies, but it's still not so straightforward to do so. But for me, I decided to follow the path, find out where companies were created, find out what it took to create companies, and I realized that in less than 2 weeks you can actually create your own company. I am not the kind of person who gives up because people say something is hard. I want to try, and then when I fail, I say, okay, I tried this and then I fail. So for me, starting the entrepreneurship journey began like that, just a determination. And then since then, I know that it's a hard journey, so that's what keeps me there, that's what keeps me going.
I mean, you started a business venture in 2013. You started up your own company, which you called CIPEC.
Yes.
I mean, can you just tell us in detail what was your motivation behind it all and what is CIPEC all about?
Okay, I'll answer it in two forms. First, I'll start by defining SIPEC. SIPEC is Shera's initiative for promoting entrepreneurs in Cameroon. So Shera is my name, it's my nickname, a name that my mom gave me a long time ago when I was a little girl. I decided to start SIPEC because I knew that entrepreneurs had challenges running their businesses, challenges starting their businesses. And when I did a little bit of research, I identified that the problems that entrepreneurs face is they don't have any access to clients. You may be passionate about something, but there's no way you're ever going to be able to get clients or work with any big companies because you just don't look confident enough. Another thing I realized that entrepreneurs lack or face is they don't have anybody to direct them. You're just one young boy or one young girl in their house with their nice idea, and they just decide to launch it. But there's nobody to tell them that they're going to have problems managing their costs, they're going to have problems managing their human resource and all of these things. And then another thing I realized is that entrepreneurs do not have access to capital. Yes, we say that the banks are there. Yes, we say that there are family members who can give you money. But there's no proper way that an entrepreneur can say, okay, I need 5 million for my business, or I need 10 million for my business, and they can just walk into a bank with their nice idea and get that money. So when I was starting SIPEC and when I put people together to run with this vision with me, it was about, we've identified these issues, how can we tackle these issues? How can we make sure that these issues do not become a nightmare for entrepreneurs, and how can we make entrepreneurs' lives better because we're providing these solutions? So that's where SIPEC was birthed. That's how we came up with SIPEC. And the reason why I was even more motivated to start SIPEC is I also, at the same time I was launching SIPEC, I launched my own company. My own company is called Shera's Delights, and it's an event management company, event management and public relations. And for me, although it was still at the beginning, I already knew the challenges that I was going to face. So I said to myself, instead of just working with entrepreneurs and helping entrepreneurs, I might as well at the same time help myself, because the problems that I've identified for entrepreneurs are the same problems that I would face. So I launched these two businesses at the same time, and yes, it's almost 2 years now, and I can say that we're doing pretty well.
I mean, I read in so many blogs, about 3 or 4 blogs, that when you went back to Nairobi,
yes,
5 years after you completed your studies,
yeah,
something happened there,
yes,
that made you to come back.
Yes.
What was it?
I feel guilty for not mentioning it earlier. I graduated in December 2008, and I came back to Cameroon, and I was working since then. And then I went back in August 2013, and I realized how much the country had changed. It looked different. Where we had vegetation, we had roads. Where we had roads, we had flyovers. And I was driving from the apartment where we were staying to the school, and I did not recognize anything. The place just looked different. I went to the malls. There were about 6 malls that had sprouted since I left. And the place just looked completely different. And I said to myself, if a country can change this much, all it needs is just organization. All it needs is just planning. And this is what had happened in Kenya. But the thing that really, got me moving on the inside was when I bumped into one of my friends who was not very outgoing in school. She was just like a quiet business student, just running, just being a regular student. She was running a program which was similar to SIPEC. But what she was doing was she was identifying entrepreneurs who were in entertainment, so poets, musicians, actors, and these kinds of artists. And she brings them together and gives them this platform where she invites sponsors, she invites investors, and everybody else who can come watch them perform during an event. So she was doing something on Sundays. It was laid back, it was barbecue, there was drinks, people moving around, and she easily got sponsors. So she started in Kenya, and then she moved over to Tanzania and Uganda. When I saw this, I was just really, really moved. And I saw how artists' lives were changing because of this program. Now I have always had a passion for business. I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. And I knew that this was something that I could emulate in Cameroon, so something that I could do in Cameroon to make a difference. Truth be told, when I was doing it, I wasn't thinking that it was going to be big, or I could, move to Nigeria or any other country to do this. For me, it was, I know the issues that Cameroonians face. I know the issues that entrepreneurs face. What can I do in Cameroon that can cause a difference? What can I do in Cameroon to make a difference for these entrepreneurs? And so when I attended only one of her events, because I was only there for a week, so it was a Sunday. So I attended that, and then I just took out my notebook and I started writing. And when I came up with the idea, what I did to make it a reality, this was in August. So what I did is I set the date for the first SIPEC event. Already I just said it was going to be on the 29th of January 2014.
Even before creating it?
Even before creating it. So I set a date. I wrote everything that I needed to do, the sponsors I needed to talk to, the venue. I did all of that. Then I decided, okay, I cannot start talking to sponsors when the company is not registered. So I spoke to a friend who told me about Centre de Création et Formalité des Entreprises, and I went there, created the company, and this was in September. So I had just like September to December to plan the event, and then in January I tried not to shift the date, and I just launched it. And ever since, it's just been...
What a determination.
Yes. Yes.
Setting the date, not even creating the company yet.
Yes.
But sticking to the date, finally creating the company.
And then just walking backwards.
And then just walking backwards.
Yeah, that's what
wow.
I did.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I didn't do it alone. I was very blessed. I was very fortunate because I had my family that thought it was a good idea. I had my friends who thought it was a good idea. I prayed a lot about it. So this is what really kept me going. But I wasn't really doing it by myself. I was the vision and all of that. But then I had a strong support system behind me.
I mean, the Kenyan culture, definitely, it's a culture that promotes entrepreneurship among the younger generation.
Yes.
So basically, they believe that the younger generation are bigger assets to the whole economy. I mean, putting these two countries, Kenya and Cameroon, how do you compare both in terms of that?
There's no comparison. First of all, the cultures are very different. Kenya is the English culture, Cameroon is more of the French culture. In Kenya, from a very young age, you already taught how to be an entrepreneur. Kenya is a country which is a beautiful country, but the people are used to fending for themselves. They're used to struggling because the company is characterized by lots of foreigners. So most of the foreigners get most of the good things in the country. So the Kenyans have the fighting spirit. They have the spirit of hard work, of innovation, and making things different. So already that's very different. Here in Cameroon, entrepreneurship is beginning to build up, and people are beginning to have ideas and want to run with the ideas. But for a very long time, it was normal to just go to school, finish school, and then get a job. And it was normal, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against people who do that. So it's just now that people are beginning to go to school and do something very creative, and then finish school and then come back and actually launch something. So it's a gradual process. I don't think that we're ever going to be very similar to Kenya. I think that we are unique in our own way. I think that Cameroon is a very special country. We are blessed with lots of natural resources. We're blessed with so many things. And fortunately, our education system causes us to be very intelligent.
Your company, SIPEC, it's all about helping entrepreneurs start up, finding their way into this whole difficulty and this euphoric of entrepreneurship in Cameroon. However, it's a system that you got motivated in Kenya, that works in Kenya, and you brought it back in Cameroon. But when we look at the context of Cameroon, where yes, there is entrepreneurship, yes, there is institutional measures in place to make sure that the creation of enterprises are easy. But on the other side, the entrepreneurs in Cameroon are still a large number, still remains in the informal sector. So how do you go about convincing people to adhere to SIPEC?
There's not much convincing involved with SIPEC because what SIPEC does is really available on the website. Most people who have come to the SIPEC office or to the SIPEC program get the assistance that they need. The truth of the matter, and without any fear of ruffling any feathers, is people need to go out and get the information that is available out there. Unfortunately, most of the entrepreneurs who remain in the informal sector because they are unable to get the information that they need to actually move forward. When you set up a company in Cameroon, for example, you have 2 years of exoneration of taxes. In those 2 years, you don't just sit down, make money and keep quiet. You're supposed to go to taxation to make declarations. This is information that is out there. All you need to do is ask. When you start up a company, most of the time you're just running things by yourself. The most you can have is maybe an assistant. What you need, if you don't have a finance background, is you need to get an accountant, somebody to look at your books and to advise you on how things are done. When you're preparing invoices, you need to know how to prepare an invoice. You need to know what is retained at the client side. This is information that is out there. The entrepreneurs don't ask these questions. They don't want to know what's going on. So they remain in the informal sector, and this is the reasons why they may never be able to grow. Because when you remain in the informal sector, when your company is not registered, when you don't have all of your papers in order, you would never be able to work with a company that is bigger and a company that has a reporting system in place. So most of the entrepreneurs who come to us, when we started, we just started SIPEC, but then we've been partnering with other consultants who have this information. We have accountants who consult with us. We have operation experts who consult with us. We have financial experts who consult with us. So when you come, most of the time you have a very nice business plan that you did by yourself. Probably you got the template offline, and you need capital. But when you need this capital, you need to know that there are a number of things that need to be put in place. For example, in your company, you need to have a financial director. Your company needs to be ready to receive this money, so that in the event that you receive
corporate governance.
Good corporate governance. And this is something that when they start, they don't know. So when they come to SIPEC, we tell them, okay, this is where your free journey ends. At this point, we would need to tidy up your business plan. For your business plan to be interesting to investors, this is what needs to be done. And we give you all of this information, we help you out, and there are a number of entrepreneurs that we've helped out. They come thinking that they need 5 million. By the end of the day, they need about 7 million. So we tell you up a business plan, we put you in touch with an investor, everything goes well, and then you get the capital that you need for your business. So entrepreneurship is going to evolve. But unfortunately, nobody is going to take a spoon and feed you so that you can evolve and move from the informal sector to the formal sector. You need to look at what is happening. You need to read the newspapers. Banks are now launching programs for SMEs. Investor companies, investment funds are beginning to come to Cameroon. But if you're not up to date with what is happening, if you're not reading, if you're not asking questions, you're going to stay in this place till Christ comes.
And which is what a lot of entrepreneurs,
unfortunately,
that's where they have been.
That's
where their final line has been. Staying on,
in the
at the bottom of the entrepreneurship pyramid. They've always stayed in the informal sector.
And they don't have to.
But the thing is, it's a large number. So what does SIPEC do to tackle that? Because, not every entrepreneur or not every woman that has a salon out there is going to come up to SIPEC.
True.
So how do you get to them? You can't do it all by yourself, but at least you can do your tidy bit. So how does SIPEC do that?
So far, what we've been able to do is we've been having networking events. But right now for 2015, we have an event coming up on the 31st of October, which is going to be an exhibition event. So I want to give an opportunity for all kinds of entrepreneurs, whether they've registered or not, to come for this event. And during this event, there's going to be a number of people who are going to be talking. We're going to have financial experts who are going to be telling them how to run the finances of their company. We're going to have somebody from CFC who's going to be telling them what they need to do to set up their company, what they need to have in place. You need to have a building, you need to pay rent somewhere. Even if you're working from home, which is not advised, but if you're working from home, you need to be able to declare taxes for rent. What's it called? Contract they buy.
Council tax.
Yes. So
somehow like council tax.
So they need to declare. So during the next edition of SIPEC, we're going to have the different people talking to entrepreneurs, so they should know what they need to know at the beginning, what they need to know as they are growing their companies. So we're not succeeding 100% in tackling all the entrepreneurs, but we try right now. A lot of word of mouth is going out, a lot of online. We have an online presence, so we use our social networks to communicate. Sometimes before our events, we would go on TV and talk about what we're doing. We'll go on radio and talk about what we're doing. It's still not pervasive enough, but we're trying. We're trying to put out the information out there, and so far, most of the people who come to us are people who have heard about us from somewhere else, so they come, and we're hoping that in a short time, sooner rather than later, we can be able to impact the whole of the nation and get the information out there to everyone.
Thank you so much, Etonde. We're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, you're going to tell us all about what we need to know on the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing in Cameroon.
Okay.
Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome back. Etonde Martine, I mean, in terms of Cameroon, throughout your experience, what are some of the key challenges that entrepreneurs are facing in Cameroon? And what is SIPEC doing to solve those issues?
The biggest challenge entrepreneurs are facing is lack of capital. SIPEC is trying. Right now we're working with an investment fund and a group of investors who have put in money into this fund, and we cannot give too much detail about the investment fund right now because the investors are a little bit, they don't want the information out there unless the entrepreneur actually comes and we go through their business plan, we go through their business and make sure their business is ready for this capital before. So it's kind of a confidential thing. So you come in, you meet with the SIPEC team goes through everything that you're doing, inspects your business, does the due diligence before we invite the investors to listen to you and listen to how you need them or what you need the money for. So we're working with an investment fund. We're also working with a company called Ovamba, which gives out loans to entrepreneurs. So again, we listen to the entrepreneurs, we look at their businesses, make sure that the business is good. Because at the end of the day, SIPEC needs to be accountable. So it's not just about anybody who walks into us that we push over to these people. We don't want people also wasting their time. So we need to make sure that the entrepreneurs are ready. So in terms of I think there are many challenges that entrepreneurs are facing, but capital is the biggest one. And another, if I must give a second reason that a second challenge that entrepreneurs are facing, is direction, good governance, how to run their companies, the lack of an advisory board, people to advise them on how to run their companies. I'll just use an example of my family. We have a family business, and we're about to shut it down, and that's because I've had the chance to look at different businesses, look at how different businesses are run. And I know that it's not every business idea that would work. So you need to, as a business person or as an entrepreneur, learn to know when to let go. And this is something that as an entrepreneur you may never be able to do because your emotions and your passion is all tied in there. But when you have an advisory board, when you have a group of people who are objective, a group of people who are looking at how much money you've put in, how much money you've made, or how much money you've not made, then they can be able to tell you, okay, instead of doing 10 things, focus on 2 because you have a market for these 2. Cut out this 8, focus on these 2. When these 2 pick up, then you can move on to something else. So this is an advisory board, and this is a team of experts who can advise your company on how to go. And this is what SIPEC is working on right now. We're putting together a group of people. We have some of them already, but we're just trying to make it in a more organized fashion where every entrepreneur who comes to us can benefit from this service, and then we see how to pay the advisory board, because the advisory board is not free. But we have many people who are volunteering their time, but then we cannot abuse the time that they spend with us. So if I had to give 2 reasons or 2 challenges entrepreneurs face, it would be lack of capital and lack of direction. So, and this is what SIPEC is trying to do.
Now let's go back to SIPEC.
Yes.
Yes, you're trying to break the barrier of gaining capital. But at the same time, what's your insurance? Because a lot of youth out there are risque. They just get into entrepreneurship. They don't own a land title, they don't own anything, and they have nothing to give back as collateral security to the loan that they're going to get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, isn't that a challenge for you?
That's a very good question, and it's a very big challenge for us. So, most of the entrepreneurs who come to us, the ones who will get loans from Ovamba, they need to have some kind of guarantee. They need to have some kind of security. The security needs to be land. They need to have something to give, because that's a loan, and this loan needs to be paid back. And the loan is not paid back, there needs to be a way that the bank can get its money back. But for the investment fund that we have, and that's why we spend so much time making sure that your business is robust and ready for this money. So we put in place an advisory board in your company. This advisory board looks after our money. Because when we're putting money in your company, yeah, we want to help, but we don't want to just throw money out there. So if, for example, Nadine has a workshop, a carpentry workshop, for example, you have a set of equipment and you need some more money to buy more equipment, we'll look at that business, we'll say, okay, you're running this business maybe now with your brother, but to make sure that all the equipment that you're going to use our money to get is used properly. So we want to make sure that we have an accountant who is making sure that the equipment is bought at the price that you said it's going to be bought at. We want to make sure that we want to make sure that our marketing, our sales experts make sure that you have a clientele for these things that you're making. So put in place all of these things to make sure that once you receive the money is turning around. And soon, really soon, you're able to pay out dividends. Yes, when investors are investing, they know that they're not going to make their money immediately. They know it's going to take a couple of years, 4, 5, 6, 7 years before they decide to sell their shares. But in that time, this money is turning. The money is being used properly. The business needs to be scaled down. It's being scaled down. So, what is our insurance? That's our insurance. Our insurance is that advisory board that we put in place in your company to make sure that you are happy, we are happy at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's not just about giving you money to do whatever you want to do, but it's about making sure that your business succeeds. Because at the end of the day, if SciPEC is successful tomorrow, it's going to be about how many lives we're able to change, how many entrepreneur stories we're able to change. And that is really our motivation.
Recently, you launched the SciPEC magazine. And you organized a launch,
yes,
for the launching of the magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, so tell me, what do I gain by buying a copy of a SciPEC magazine in any kiosk for 2,000 francs?
The SciPEC magazine is a business handbook, and that's the reason why we came up with the size that we came up with. So it's a handbook. And it gives you vital information about Cameroon, vital information about the economy of Cameroon. So in the SciPEC magazine, this is not information that you will get just from Google. Yes, you may get it from Google, yes, you may get it from other sources, but the SciPEC magazine is a compressed set of information for anybody looking to do business, anybody looking to invest in Cameroon.
In the context of Cameroon.
In the context of Cameroon, yes. It gives you an idea of the economic picture of the country. So in the SciPEC magazine, you know about investment opportunities, you know about the sectors that are doing well, the sectors that are not doing well, you know why some sectors are not doing well, you know why, I don't want to, in fact, I'm almost talking about the next edition. Okay. But in the next edition and subsequent editions, you're always going to have information about key areas of the economy, key sectors of the economy, what's going on in those sectors. For investors, foreign investors and local investors who are thinking of investing in companies, you know which businesses are more lucrative, how much to invest, how much you can get back in terms of returns. You're also going to find out about companies who will not be able to advertise on TV or on radio because these are SciPEC entrepreneurs, so you'll see their ads in the magazine. And then you also see key players who we call our sponsors. These are the people who believe in the SciPEC dream, to believe in the vision of SciPEC, and they have ads in the magazine. And then we also have key people who we call contributors, people who write about pertinent issues concerning the economy of Cameroon, pertinent issues concerning the economic environment of Cameroon. So again, the SciPEC magazine is a handbook. You can read it, and that's why the papers are even as hard as they are, and that's why the size is that compact, because we want you to move around with the magazine. We want you to refer to it from time to time. We want you to always go back to it for more information. So that's the benefit of the magazine.
Wow. You're also representing a brand, an online brand,
yes,
store, which is Etonde.
Yes.
Tell us a bit of Etonde. Tell us more about it.
About Tonguem. Tonguem is short for the online brand store. It's an online shop that sells branded clothing, especially work and casual clothing. In fact, right now, everything I'm wearing is Tonguem. My dress is Tonguem, my shoes are Tonguem. I think, no, my jewelry is not Tonguem. Yeah, so, and Tonguem sells really, really nice things. So there are things that like from shops that you know, like Closet, Armari, Marks and Spencer, very nice clothes, very comfortable clothes for the corporate woman, which is what I am. So with SciPEC, with everything that I do, I look at myself like a brand ambassador, and I tend to stand for things that I believe in. So I decided to take Tonguem as a client because I believe in their clothing. Their clothing is quality clothing. I like their clothing. It looks nice on me. It looks nice on most people. In fact, it looks nice on everybody who wears them because they have for all sizes. And so I decided to be an ambassador for this brand, and that's why I even added public relations to the services that I offer at Shera's Delight, because when you're doing events, you don't want an event to go unnoticed. You don't want people not to know about what happened at that event. So you talk about the event, or you do public relations for the event. And so I represent a number of clients. This can be found on the website, but I represent a number of clients. And before we represent any client, before we represent, like for example of Tongues, we make sure that we believe in what you're selling. We connect with your vision.
Now, for all the youth watching right now, drawing from all your life experience as an active and proactive entrepreneur in Cameroon, what inspiring advice would you give to them as a footprint to follow to enable them to take the first step in entrepreneurship and eventually succeeding and creating jobs in the economy?
A word of advice for the youth, for future entrepreneurs, future startups, is do not follow the crowd. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Get into entrepreneurship with a clear agenda. You need to know what you want, you need to know what your goals are, and you need to know where you're heading to. Also, get to terms with the fact that the first 5 years are going to be very difficult. So you need to decide that you're not going to quit. You need to decide that you know that these years are going to be difficult, you're going to have challenges, but because you have a clear agenda, because you have a clear goal post that you're heading to, you're going to get to that goal post despite all the difficulties that you're going to face. So for young people, it's good to be an entrepreneur. It's good to do your own thing. It's good to work for yourself, but know that the rewards are very high, and that's why it's very hard. It is hard, but it's not impossible. I'm doing it. I know many other people who are doing it, and just really, really work hard and just be clear about what you want to do.
Okay, Etonde Martine, it's a tradition on Empower Success in Africa show that you don't go empty-handed once you land here.
Okay.
So we have a special gift for you.
Nice.
Inside you have a teacup.
Nice.
With Empower Success in Africa, and with a slogan, nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start now and make a new ending.
Perfect.
You also have a diary.
Nice.
I know you have a hectic schedule, so
I do.
You can always jot down
Thank you.
all your appointments.
That's a lovely gift.
Thank you so much, Etonde.
Thank you so much, Nadine, for having me. Thank you so very much.
All right. It's also tradition, Martin, that we take Empower Success in Africa pose.
Oh, what's that?
So a powerful pose
Okay.
to show success.
Okay.
So whatever pose you wish.
Okay.
For more about SciPec, guys, you can order a copy by telephone, or you can visit www.scipec.co.uk. Thank you so much all for watching, and see you next time with another special guest. Thank you.